that did crazy. That did 10,000 views in a day.
It hit over 150k views.
I mean, I love YouTube. I look at it right now, it's like, oh my God, that doesn't look very, very good.
Initially, it would take you months to get the first 10k views. And then one day, it only takes a day.
Oh God. I mean, right now I have 800 videos, so there's 800 tutorials on a lot of topics. If you look at that, you'll say, oh, right from the beginning, he just got like 80k views in the first video and 150k views in the third video. No way.
Hey everyone, welcome to the very first episode of the Creator Trove podcast. I'm super excited to finally kick this off. We've got a full season lined up with guests ranging from game development tutors, such as today, and Twitch streamers, to short form content makers and everything in between. And I'm super glad we're starting it off with today's guest, Gorka Ranzabal, better known as Gorka Games. You've probably come across his channel. He's been consistently sharing, clear, super practical development content that's helped a ton of people build their first games. Today we're talking about what that journey has looked like. So creating content, building an audience, and growing as a creator. So Gorka, thank you very much for taking the time to join me today. I'm very happy to see
pleasure.
you.
Thanks for having me on. It's gonna be exciting.
Let's get into the first question. You've been making games since you were 8 years old. That's insane to think about.
Yeah.
How did you get into it? Who taught you? Where did you pick up the skill?
Yeah, so everything started very young, at the age of 8, and I was a gamer like pretty much everyone that gets into game dev at the beginning, right? And I always had this question about, when will the creators of the games, add these features? When will they go ahead and add this new enemy types or whatever? And one day it was like randomly, wait, why I don't create my own games, right? And of course, I was 8, I didn't know anything about programming or anything like that, so I just told my dad, and he said, actually, let's see what we can do, because it will be good if you learn programming at a very young age. It will probably help you with some cool skills. So we basically started off with some random websites about game development, using like little notes. I don't know if you know Scratch,
Yeah,
not
of
Scratch,
course.
but similar ones, right?
Mhm.
So just literally very bare bones into the moving little sprites and images, and just using little blocks. I kind of understood the logic of programming at a very basic kind of stage, right? It wasn't until later on where we were looking for an actual professor to help me out. So when I was around 10 years old, I found a online professor for Unity. And on there is where I actually started learning like actual game dev, C#, and got the programming concepts at a very higher level. And I basically spent some time with Unity, but Unreal Engine 5 just came out around in 2015. Not Unreal Engine 5, Unreal Engine 4, and that was very attractive, right? I mean, it had like pretty much the same build-up as UE5, just in 2015, the same amount of like graphics and so on, innovation. So that obviously kind of stood off, and obviously the blueprints was also pretty cool to me. So I kind of played around with the UE4, but it wasn't really clear for me at the beginning. It was a bit harder because there wasn't any kind of big tutorials on Unreal Engine 4 out there. There wasn't a lot of guidance. There wasn't a lot of professors or anything like that. That's why I actually went with Unity at the beginning. And yeah, so that just made me stick with Unity for a couple years. And after some time, I was back and forth between Unity, UE4, just jumping around, also doing a bit of like Godot on the side a bit every so often, but mainly was Unity. And it wasn't until a bit earlier than UE5 when I decided to let's try, UE5 and Unreal Engine again, but in this new version. And thanks to all the things that I learned from Unity, it was just easy to transfer that knowledge from game engine to game engine into Unreal Engine 5. And I mean, also I spent some time with UE4, so it was, very straightforward in that regards. But thanks to Unity, I could just integrate into Unreal Engine 5, and that's how everything started with the channel and everything. So yeah, started very young, but we're here now.
And you started, you jumped into making your own, your first Steam game as well. Was that straight
Yes,
away?
yes, exactly. So when I was on Unity, I decided to make like a simple commercial game to Steam, just my first one. So that's the survival game that you're talking about.
Mm.
I look at right now and it's like, oh my God, that doesn't look very, very good. But it was my first project in terms of taking it seriously, right? And it was a super, super effective learning experience. Like I learned so much about how to actually build a final product thanks to that, game over there. And that was super useful. And of course, right now I look it back and say, "Oh my God," but it was super useful. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. In terms of getting a project from point A to point B, I feel like only when you actually have to submit a game and give it to real people, only then you can like develop all the skills in terms
Yeah.
of game development. You actually
Exactly.
polish the game to the level where, I don't know, it runs on lower spec PCs, that kind of stuff. So
Yeah,
it's
that's the real
definitely, you
test. Yeah.
can understand why
Yeah.
it's an important step. So
Yeah.
that's pretty cool.
I recommend. I
Pretty cool.
recommend that. Even though that you're like making or your first game, not even making your first game, just learning the engine. I recommend to try to make a simple um, product. So your first game, so that you can see like how it actually works, right? It's gonna be super useful. And yeah, you don't have to start with your dream game. You can, that's what I kind of talk about in my tutorials. You can really start making a super simple game. Maybe if it's not even something that you're interested on building, right? It doesn't have to be like a survival game like I did, or the next Call of Duty or anything like that. It can just be like a simple project, almost to just test your programming skills that you have been learning.
Yeah.
So that's an experience that I always recommend.
Mhm. If you're trying to turn your content into income, I've put together a free guide to 100 ways to monetize your content. It's a practical list of ideas that actually work, whether you're just starting out or you already have an audience. The link is in the description as well as in the pinned comment. And so your first tutorials were on Unreal Engine 4, not 5.
Yeah, yeah. At the beginning on 2015 and so on, they
Mm-hmm.
were in UE4. There weren't really tutorials like that. They were more just like, I mean, like devlogs we could say, but not devlogs. I mean, they were also in Spanish. If you check them out, you will see my little kid voice,
Yeah.
and it's just like me doing random stuff in like random environments. Everything looks awful, but it was like a cool starting point, I guess, for my tutorials
Mm-hmm.
or videos. But yeah, when actually I started to take seriously the tutorials were when I switched to Unreal Engine 5 in 2022. But yeah, the beginning is there. My whole journey is kind of on YouTube, which is pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've actually scrolled through the whole channel, I'll be honest.
No way.
I've seen all of your videos, especially the ones from the very beginning. So that
Yeah.
was one of
Oh
my
my God.
questions. It seems like you've had this idea of, I don't know if it's either, just people like our generation wanting to just make content just because we watch YouTube, we grow up watching YouTube for
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
We just kind of, without thinking too much about it, we just want to become YouTubers ourselves. Or is it? Have you ever thought about it as as a stepping stone for bigger projects? So like building a personal brand that would allow you to build some sort of.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's a great question. Yeah. I always had, of course, the dream or the hope to build like one of those big channels because I consumed YouTube like crazy, right? I mean, I love YouTube and I always looked at these YouTubers and thought, man, I want to do something like that, right? Because they essentially have built a personal brand. Obviously, at the very beginning, I didn't know what I was doing. So it wasn't until when, again, in UE5, I took the opportunity to make tutorials and I started to take it seriously. And on there, I really took the goal to build a personal brand because it allows me and it allowed me to step up into bigger projects that otherwise I wouldn't been able to do, right?
Mhm.
Because you're instantly more recognizable in the industry and you can make connections, network, and you're just more open into this kind of connections and things like that. So definitely was always like a thing in mind, but it took me some time to figure out how I would approach it, you know?
Hmm. So now you actually understand the whole scope of opportunities that open to you because of this personal brand.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much, yeah, exactly.
If you want help growing your social media, growing as a creator, and better monetizing your content, I'm currently offering free audits of your content and social media. I'll take a look at what you're doing and send back clear, personalized advice. There's a link to apply for that in the description too. It's fully free and there's no reason not to do that. Just fill in a quick form and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. I think it was either your first tutorial after you started posting tutorials like consistently
Yeah.
back in 2022. It hit over 150K views. Was that like, from those days, or is it something that accumulated over time?
When I started making tutorials, definitely, I started just getting a couple of hundred views per
Mm,
video. And, my target will also always to, get to that, 1,000 views, right? If I was getting like 1K views per tutorial, I felt like I was growing. And I'm seeing the one that you're saying. Actually, the first one is there, how to add wind to your Quicksilver foliage. That got 88,000 views. And then 2 videos later, how to create a combat system in UE5, 150K. So yeah, if you look at that, you'll say, oh, right from the beginning, he just got like 80K views in the first video and 150K views in the third video when I started, making tutorials for real. But that wasn't like that. Actually, probably the wind tutorial got so many views because people were curious, like you, right? Checking one of my first tutorials. But honestly, that video was, I see, pretty decent. It probably got like 100 views after a day or something. Like,
mm,
it really didn't catch up or anything like that. But in contrast, the third video, which was how to create a combat system, and that was only, yeah, literally 2 videos after the first one, that got more emotion, right? But of course, it didn't get 150K from the bat. It took whatever amount of 2 years or 3 years nearly to get that
mm,
amount of views. But it was my first video, which got like 1K views faster than the others. It just started working faster, and I could always see it on my dashboard, like one of the most top performing, over on that periods of time. So definitely, they didn't, get the those numbers right away. It took time, but they had a reason on why they were accumulating views over time.
yeah, yeah. It's interesting that it basically 100x over what, 2, 3 years?
Yeah, yeah, pretty interesting. I mean, you know, I actually thought on that video idea when I was having breakfast on the kitchen,
Mm,
because when I started making tutorials for real on that date, I had like a goal, and it was to upload a video every single day. And I had a bit more time because it was summer, so I just woke up, thought of the video idea right away, and worked on it on the morning and posted on the evening. And it's funny how just spontaneous ideas can actually lead to great results over time. So that's always what I mentioned. Like sometimes you might have like an idea that you thought while doing something, and just because it was like a spontaneous idea, you don't really like think it's gonna go crazy, but you never know, unless with the internet nowadays. But yeah, it's pretty cool to see that kind of stuff.
yeah, yeah. In terms of ideas, I used to just write down all of my ideas, and then if I think about it for long enough, then it just means that, yeah, this idea I need to try out. But these
Yeah,
days,
yeah,
I don't know if you do this, but you probably also have like a paid ChatGPT subscription, maybe.
yeah, yeah.
So
I do it.
I just speak into ChatGPT. I just send it like a voice message, like a 10-minute voice message where I just talk everything that I have on my mind at the moment, and then it turns it into
Yeah,
like a whole project plan.
man. That's genius. I don't do that with frequency. Sometimes if I do have a great idea, I sometimes go into that voice mode, right? Which is like you get into a call with ChatGPT, right? And I talk, what do you think about this? But that's super rare, honestly. I do use ChatGPT for some ideas nowadays, but just, texting and doing some sort of stuff. But actually the voice note of 10 minutes, just putting all your ideas down. It's actually genius. I might actually try that out. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
It
actually
might be a,
surprised. People
yeah,
don't know that there's a difference between voice mode on ChatGPT,
yeah,
where you just there's like this circle that you talk to and it talks back to you.
exactly. That's the one that
But
I use.
you
Yeah,
can
yeah.
also use like voice message, like on iMessage, for example. You just hit record and you just speak into it, and then it turns into a transcript, and it does the normal ChatGPT, text response, and that actually
Wow.
works much better.
Oh,
So
really?
yeah,
Okay.
in terms of the processing that it does with your message, it's like the same as if you typed it, basically.
Man, wow, I didn't actually know about that. I mean, I figured out there's like a voice note feature, right,
Uh,
that would work, but I never tried on, trying that out in that instance. So definitely I'll give that a go nowadays, That's gonna be very, very, very time saving actually.
yeah, yeah, definitely recommend it.
Yeah, for sure.
So coming back to your videos, like initial videos, what was like? You said that this third video on the combat system was like the first that received 100 views, but what was like the breaking, kind of the
Yeah,
difference
I
point?
do. Yeah, I do actually remember the first video that actually started to, to do some good numbers in difference to all the others, including the third one, and it was how to um retarget the animations from a mannequin to a metahuman, or it was like how to replace the mannequin with a metahuman, right?
Also,
Because
it was
obviously
when MetaHuman was like this big topic.
exactly. It
Mm,
was when, I mean, all of this was when UE5 pretty much came out, so especially metahumans, right? So I took opportunity to say, all right, there's not a lot of tutorials about how to, replace a metahuman with an easy way. There was a couple of them, but they were a bit complicated and so on. And that's another thing. When I did the tutorials, I always had this target of making the video in the easiest way possible and making it the shortest, right? So I just used my method with that idea, and it worked out. And that's the first video that got to 10,000 views in like a small amount of time. I don't remember, a couple weeks, maybe a month, which, at that time that was record times, But definitely that was like, pretty crazy to see. And, that's when I started to get feedback that Unreal Engine tutorials can also pull off, a large amount of views in little time, right? Without need to be like a crazy, full 3 hour begin tutorial, right? So that was a video that, you know, also showed that the channel was possible.
mm.
Kind of.
I like this, yeah.
Yeah.
So, essentially, trendy content, or rather, content on trendy topics, is what helped the initial
Oh,
growth.
yeah. Definitely, definitely. I mean, I had the great opportunity that everything that was coming out was new in Unreal Engine 5, so pretty much I could just take anything and it will be kind of trending in a way, right? But, I always try to use the new Niagara system, right? Of particle effects that
Yeah.
was trending when I started. Like we said, MetaHuman, Lumen, Nana. I mean, there was so many things that I could do videos on, and it will be like always trending. But yeah, it's good practice to always take something that is trending. I mean, we can even take an example of a video that I did just a couple months ago, right? GTA 6 was kind of trending again on Twitter and some things like that because there was like speculations of a new trailer. So I made a full masterclass on how to make a GTA like game, right? And that did crazy. That did 10,000 views in a day. So yeah, it shows like how great ideas and very well executed can, work out very good on everything about YouTube or, just a personal brand or all in that niche. So yeah, trending is key. Trending things are key.
Yeah, yeah. It's crazy how exponential growth works. So initially, it would take you months to get the first 10K views, and then one day, it only takes a day, and now
Yeah,
it might
yeah,
take even less.
crazy. It's crazy. That's a thing that I've always gonna, have been like analyzing with the YouTube dashboard and so on. And obviously every time it took time to make the target numbers that took more time in the past, right? And obviously still not every video, in my case, does 10K in one day, right now, but it's because this is my intention, right? Only the banger ideas are the ones that I want to get into crazy numbers, like the full course that I do on how to make your first game in Unreal Engine 5. Those are the ones that are just made to go viral in a way in the real space. But I have my other kind of content, which is one of my main one, which is just short, simple tutorials on very specific things, right? Sometimes they're more broad, as like replacing the mannequin, like I said, or sometimes they're very specific on how to make it like a simple outline tutorial, which is the video that I put it today. Obviously, those are videos that are not so appealing to a crazy amount of people, right? Those are just very precisely search-based videos. When
Yeah,
you
yeah.
want to make an outline on Unreal Engine 5, or you want to make a simple, material, you search that, that pops up. But that's honestly how I kind of build my channel, with search-based videos slash tutorials. So I was the guy that was there ready on the when people search on Google, right? So that's kind of what helped me position. And definitely the video every day. I mean, right now I have 800 videos, so there's 800 tutorials on a lot of topics, right? So yeah, I kind of have that content split in two. By one hand, the virality that helps like beginners find me out and go crazy, and then the very specific videos that help me position myself in just like a CEO, right, in Google and everything. And also those kind of people that see those specific videos are with a higher chance will like go into my Unreal Club, into my courses, because they are just more loyal, and they're there for specific things. It's just higher conversion rates, and it helps me in that way. So it's interesting how YouTube works. It's kind of a thing they have to experiment a lot and see.
Hmm. Yeah. In terms of the tutorials, so I think we talked about how previously talked about how um, I would expect that your tutorials, as you mentioned, would be search based videos, so something uh, non-subscribers watch mostly. But in
Mhm.
your case, it was a lot of your subscribers, if not majority of the views are from your subscribers. So people, even if it's not something they want to make right now in their game, they would still watch a tutorial on how to, I don't know,
Yeah,
animate a dress, like a woman's dress or like hair or something.
yeah. Yeah, literally. That's the thing that actually, surprised me too. The overall, the main content in my channel is viewed more by my subscribers than external people, except those that go viral, right?
Hmm.
And honestly, that's not really the case that you mentioned. You even was surprised by this, uh, with other tutorial channels. And I guess that, it was kind of the strategy that I took. Once people like the way that you present the tutorials. In my case, it was the easiest way possible. People will just subscribe for any new tutorial coming, because they will know that you will kind of use the same method to explain it, right? And I mean, with the daily tutorials, I was covering everything that was coming out new, like the first one out, right? I was covering very specific things, very broad things, just a lot of things. And I also try my best to build an actual community, do every so often live streams with my face, built a Discord server with the challenges that I do every so often. Yeah, just kind of make a more financial community, which is something I think is very important, very, very important.
Hmm. And one thing that I see, like a lot of game development creators, guys on YouTube that teach game development do, is they would record like you do, this massive, I don't know, 4, 5, 8 hour long video
Yeah,
that just teaches you something from zero to hero. How long does it, like, obviously, we can all see that it does generate a lot of views, it brings a lot of like extremely positive feedback. How long does it take to actually make one? How big of an
yeah,
investment is
yeah,
it?
yeah, yeah. So when we are talking about the big videos, like the one about how to make your first game in Unreal Engine 5, it's like 2 hours, or how to make a whole Souls-like game, that was like 4 hours. I think that's my biggest video. Those obviously take more time than the daily videos. The daily videos are done so that I can make one every day. But those, I would say that take around from 1 week to 2 weeks. And, it's actually, when you think about it, it's not a crazy amount of time actually. If you compare it with the rewards that it brings, right? Because obviously those are more appealing to a broad amount of people and things like that. But with time, I've also kind of mastered my own way on creating daily videos. I built myself my own editing template where I can just drag my recording and just split the ending and the beginning, and all the intro music and everything is just already done. So I could like kind of take that base into the bigger videos. Obviously the bigger videos take more time because it's just more content. I also for the bigger videos have to build a whole prototype before even recording, which is like making the video without recording, right? So it's like double the work. But it helps me like see how the big scale of the project will be done, and it's just worth it. But yeah, I would say that for me personally, the big videos that I do take around 1 to 2 weeks, uh, depending. Yeah,
Hmm.
kind of.
And in the meantime, you don't work on any small tutorials. It's just you focus on this one big video.
Yes, that has been the case through the last kind of year. If I was working on a bigger video, I kind of stopped uploading works on that one and then continued. But before that, I actually didn't stop and continued doing the daily videos too. Because yeah, I just had like that mission of uploading a video every day, and that was what I was doing. And I'm kind of getting back into it. If you look at my channel for the past nearly a month, I'm back in the daily videos every single day. But yeah, I try to fill out the times where I'm busy working on the bigger video. And like I said, that was mainly for the last year before there wasn't any day without a video. But yeah, I try to balance everything out. I'm also having, different projects nowadays, like building a course that is not on YouTube. That takes time. So I need to like organize myself. But yeah, it kind of depends.
Hmm. What's your experience been like with the YouTube algorithm? So we talked previously about posting schedule. It's a debatable topic. There's a lot of opinions on this subject. I know people that do entertainment content and they only post on Sundays. I think that's like the kind of the one fact that people can mostly agree on, that people love to do something, like to watch something fun on Sundays. They have the whole day off. So
Yeah.
for entertainment content, that's like something everyone kind of agrees on. But in terms of posting regularly on specific days, specific time of the day, uh, also especially like if you have, I don't know, if you try to target audience in the US, for example. So if you're in Europe, you try to post later. So what's your approach has been in this sense?
Yeah, so I mean, there are a lot of like myths in YouTube about, how often you should upload depending on your niche, the times, the days, and so on. And it just ultimately just depends on your audience, right? And what you are comfortable with. In my case, at the beginning, I had no knowledge about what works, so I just tried everything. And slowly I found out that usually the videos that you mentioned on Sunday got a bit more of an initial boost because people were more available on the Sundays, right? They were not working or whatever, even if it's educational, because I mean, a lot of people have game dev as a hobby, right? Initially, so Sundays, were a very um, cool day that I left like reserved for big videos or sponsors or things like that, and but honestly, with time I kind of just tried everything. Like I said, I upload every single day. I tried in the mornings, I tried in the evenings. I found out for me that on the evenings of my time, it kind of worked. I live in Spain. It's like a 1 hour difference of London. So it was like the evening of London time, like even soon evening, like 3, 4 p.m. So that's like when I guess the USA is kind of waking up or whatever, and the people on the East are like having more of the dinner or whatever. So that was like a good balance globally. Because honestly, yeah, the big majority of my audience are from the US, but not gonna lie, there's a lot of people from the East and from those countries. But yeah, it honestly just depends on what's best for you. Like I said, I recommend experimenting a lot. But I recently found out that I could upload also the big videos on a Tuesday now, or a Wednesday, and it will be like the same impact as a Sunday. Also, I mean, depends on the seasons, if it's summer, winter, things like that, right? But overall, I'm just experimenting a lot, and honestly, there's not like a specific cheat on the day and time they had to upload. Honestly, that's just even if there's a cheat with it, it will only be initially. At the end, like people will see it on their recommendation page or notification or whatever a day after or whatever. So it's just initially overall in terms of like upload schedule and things like that.
Hmm. I can imagine that there's like maybe some corporations that hire a whole um, data science like team of data scientists that try to work out the best time and best day to
Yeah.
post.
Oh man, yeah. I know people, like other YouTubers that are crazy on it and are like always in this, exclusive webinars and crazy things about what's the best strategy for this and this. And at the end, honestly, I've discovered that it's just good content. It's just good content and good packaging, and that's it. So packaging is just how you present the video. So thumbnail and title, you know. And because if you have a great video but a terrible packaging, no one will click on it. But if you have a great packaging but a bad video, people will click on it but instantly leave, which is actually worse. So at the end, yeah, it's just kind of balancing things out. But like you said, I know there's like businesses out there that like agencies that are all in YouTube, and of course it's a huge business for them. So I mean if you're looking also to kind of begin with YouTube and you're more of a guy that doesn't have a lot of free time, I recommend agencies, because agencies will just be able to already give you existing data that otherwise would take you months or even years like me to collect, right? So, it kind of just depends. Yeah.
Hmm. Have you worked with agencies, or have you got any experience of speaking with them?
Yeah. Oh, you mean on YouTube, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no, well, no, no, no. I've been in the terms of YouTube side of videos on whatever. I've been completely independent all these years. I have worked on everything pretty much solo. So I would come up with the idea, do the recording, edit it myself, do the thumbnail and title, and upload it. So everything myself. But yes, for the past year or whatever, I've been getting like some people to help me on the discourse or whatever, things like that. But in terms of actual content, yeah, it always ends up just in me. And I've tried like one time of getting someone to edit the video, whatever, but it just doesn't really work out because they don't do it in the same style as me. Or yeah, it will just take a long time for them to adapt and things. It's just easier if I do it. And I don't mind because I love the whole process. Sometimes, of course, when there's a video to upload every day, there's a bit of come on. But the answer is I enjoy all the process.
Hmm. You are extremely efficient. Let's be honest. You put out
Thank you.
content across all your platforms super regularly. You don't seem to know the word burnout, for example.
Yeah,
Like you
yeah. I
worked hard.
mean, thank you, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, yeah. From the start, I mean, this was like what I built was kind of always my ultimate like dream goal, which is to have like a solid YouTube channel with a personal brand and influence people on making games, which is what I like and things like that. So, the thing is that I'm always motivated, and when I'm not motivated, I still have that discipline in me for upload a video every day, things like that. And yeah, like the trick is just to love what you're doing, and if you like what you're doing, it will not feel as a job. It will just feel like it's just your hobby all the time, right? So that's really the trick behind it. And obviously, when we're talking about social media, YouTube, and things like that, you get numbers, right? And those numbers are always motivators or comments for people, things like that, right? At the beginning, there's nothing, right? But as soon as you start to see the first comments and the first third, like this was super useful, whatever. I mean, it really, lightens you up to continue on, and it kind of never stops, So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I appreciate that.
I've actually I've scrolled through some of your videos, especially like the big like 4 hour long, 2 hour long um big tutorials, and you would just scroll down and down and down and down, and it'll be nothing but people saying thank you for helping me learn this, or for motivating me, for getting me to finish my first game. Extremely positive feedback, and I've actually found that you have like one of the most kind of loyal subscribings that I've seen.
Man, yeah, it's amazing. Yeah, yeah. Of course, the people really appreciate those, like for example, big tutorials, even the small tutorials, because at the end, I'm providing absolutely free content on YouTube, for them to go ahead and check out, right, and learn from it and whatever. And people like the way of making it just easy to understand, a simple way, and that's it. And yeah, with time, thankfully, people appreciate the work. And of course, I often, offer external services, right? For example, my Unreal Club, where, people can actually, you know, learn the engine effectively to release their first game and do things with it, like download the whole 800 tutorials that I have. Like they can literally download them, right? And like open up the Unreal project that I had the tutorial on. They can get into private meetings where I build and bring you know uh, experts in the industry and things like that. So or courses on Udemy or things like that. So I always try to level up my game, right, with those paid services. But I always try to bring the best value free, on YouTube.
Hmm. Can you tell me more about the Unreal Club? So I know that there are some like actual Steam games that people have developed following your tutorials. Can you share any more kind of?
Yeah,
Uh,
so the Real Club is essentially a membership where they can join a private community of dedicated gamers, right? Or not gamers, but game developers, right? So on there, like I mentioned before, they have access to insane resources that are not available elsewhere in the Unreal community and industry, right? For example, they have over 800 project files that they can download. Just imagine them as 800 free assets that are included in the membership. Instead of going to Fab to find this, there's a tutorial. And you can learn from them. That's the best part. And you also have, there's webinars where you can hop on into meetings with me and other experts and get knowledge that I don't put out over there on YouTube because it's just so much quality that I can just put out there, right? But yeah, the best part is that, former members of the Unreal Club have actually been building insane Steam games. There's a case, for example, let me see if I can find out uh, an example, but one of my former Unreal clubs, which was one of my first ones that entered in my mentorship, went ahead and did a whole Steam game which got over 5 million views over on Twitter when actually which is a solo dev, announced the game, and he got insane like coverage by streamers and things like that over the trailer. I also got like another previous member, James, which got his game out on Steam about like a unique horse simulator that it's just beautiful graphics in Unreal Engine 5, and it was always his dream to get his game out there. He did it, and not only that, but yeah, I'm just helping out people to build whole teams, to make their own games, actually hire other devs to put them on, and so on, or just continue solo and actually finish up a game, which is one of the hardest things, right? Because maybe you want to go ahead and just learn Unreal, and that's it. But if you actually want to release a game, not only for, of course, starting to make a living out of it, but even just because you're proud of it, there's a couple paths that you can take to avoid headaches, right? And it's just a bit more efficient. So that's kind of what we do in the Unreal Club as a summary. But it's honestly a great place if you're actually trying to learn Unreal and release your games.
I'd say even that it's important to release a game that if you want to maybe find a job in the industry, you would have something to show in your portfolio.
Oh yeah, exactly. Like it's not only about releasing your own game on Steam and that's it. We also, help you build a whole portfolio and gain experience so that you can, work on another studio, We have people that have worked in AAA studios out there that are getting to the calls of the on the on real meetings and whatever, like people of Ubisoft or Electronic Arts, and things like that. So we always like try to connect you with the best game devs out there in the industry, and also bring all the value that you need, so then you can decide what to do with your experience and skills, right? You wanna go through the solo path, or you wanna try to find a publisher, or you wanna work in a studio. There's no limits really, right? So that's a good point. Yeah.
It's crazy that you can within this community you can speak to developers from massive studios,
Oh
maybe
yeah.
even get feedback from them on their project.
Literally, I mean, in the Discord private sessions, we always have people putting their hands up, and we invite you to get into the mic, right, and actually speak on the stage in a certain point in the meeting for a period of time. You can also always put in things in the chat, and I mean, it's a great place. I mean, if you actually want to learn and make games and get hired or whatever, it's like the ultimate thing that will help you get there. And honestly, in my opinion, obviously, I'm speaking from myself, but there's nothing out there in comparison. There's other courses and things like that, but there's not that community and that honestly pretty much nearly one-to-one experience that you will get in the real club, especially in the mentorship, obviously.
Yeah, I love that. There's only so much you can teach on YouTube as a like you individually, but if you know as a YouTuber you have access to all of these other people, developers in the industry, maybe artists that you can invite to kind of help out your people that take your mentorship. I
Yeah.
feel like it's super beneficial.
Yep. It's really amazing.
Mm.
And like I said, that's also one of the strengths about having a personal brand, is that you can make insane connections and jump in insane price, which are really just insane, right? Crazy stuff. So yeah, there's just a benefit for all what we are talking today, which is quite cool.
Yeah. One last thing that kind of I'm curious about in terms of the Unreal Club. Um, you can imagine indie developers, especially beginners, burning out or like losing interest in the project, or maybe the code turns into like a mess and they no longer want to work with it. They don't know what to do with it. So how do you help in terms of the motivation to keep going? What kind of uh,
Oh yeah,
how does
yeah.
it
I mean,
help?
obviously, there's the case of people burning out, or actually, kind of struggling on get things going, understand blueprints, or even just finish up the project, or whatever it is, right? And there's a couple of things that I always like, try to help them out with. The main thing is just really like seeing your game like out there, and seeing the result of your game, and seeing how you can apply the skills elsewhere. One of the best moments when I'm in the mentorship calls or whatever with my people is when they get a concept and it's like, oh, I understand how to use functions now on with interfaces and whatever, right? I can now actually do it. It's just honestly, knowledge is always a motivational burst, but the best thing always, apart from that, is when people start to see their game pretty. And that's one of the things that I help with, to actually make your game look professional. Because sometimes when people are just following tutorials and making their first game, they always just end up with the default lighting, the default mannequin, the default animations, and very bad sound design and UI. I also always try to help kind of, direct the game to look professional too, which just obviously will help so much when making the launch, release, and everything, but also personally to the creator, it's always insane when you start to see the game from the default Unreal Engine third-person template to an actual like whole forest with sounds and physics and everything like that, which actually looks good. So a balance of that just encourages people so much. And there's a billion of ways to unstuck people. So that's why the Unreal Club has you covered in that way.
Hmm. So if people want to find out more about the Unreal Club and maybe join the club, what do they do?
Yeah, so I mean, they can just go to gorkagames.club, or they can also just go into any of my tutorials, and with a link in the description, they will get access to the Unreal Club, and they can check out everything and see which tier will be the best for you. The different tiers brings different benefits depending on what you're looking for. You can always upgrade or downgrade. It doesn't matter, but at the end of the day it's just unlimited resources that you can access at any time, and a community of passion game that's out there.
Nice, nice. So you've also previously mentioned development courses for platforms outside of YouTube. I know you've released courses on platforms like GameDevTV and WingFox, and I also saw that your content has been featured on sites like 80 Level. I'm very curious, how did these opportunities come about? Like, did you reach out to them? Did they reach out to you? How do you work
Yeah,
with these
so
platforms?
Yeah, so pretty much, with time, I have been able to build up cool connections. So WinFox, for example, was my very first sponsor. So actually, I didn't do a course for them. I just, promoted their course platform over on my YouTubes, and that starting point was really good for me. They basically have a whole bunch of Unreal courses, which are pretty cool on specific things that are not out there, specific genres and things like that. So super cool. But the main ones that I've been working with lately, like for example, GameDevTV and things like that, just came from building that personal brand. As I said, for example, both GameDevTV and 80 Level, has reached out. Well, 80 Level just is a news article, so you see like something that is popping off in the real community or whatever, and then they decide to post it. So that's pretty much just, for example, my tweets or the videos that are doing good. They see that they're always 24/7 kind of seeing, what they can talk about. And, thankfully, I kind of build a relationship with them where they are, always kind of sharing my stuff, which is pretty cool. And yeah, GameDevTV, they reached out, at the time when we decided to do the first course together. I think it was already like 1 year and a half or something like that. And yeah, they just said like, hey, let's do a course together, and it will be amazing on Unreal Engine. And that's when we made the first course about stealth, and it was amazing. I mean, it was so much quality put into that project that is kind of unbelievable, because it was like my own work and Game Dev TV's work. And I mean, they're one of the top course platforms or course makers out there in the game dev industry. So it was crazy to, for example, work with people like that. So yeah, it's kind of insane.
Hmm. I don't know how much of information of working with a platform like GameDevTV with Udemy you can actually share publicly, but it's just curious to know more about how they promote you. Maybe it's you bringing most of the traffic, or maybe it's 50-50.
Oh
So
yeah, I mean, so for example, GameDevTV, right? They are pretty big, and they have always been pretty big. I think they have taught over 2 million people through paid courses, which is crazy. Those numbers are honestly, I think those are the one of the only people that managed to get those numbers of paid courses, right, on the game dev industry. And obviously, they have a pretty good email list, and the Discord community, right? And build up audience like me, right? Of people that have worked through their courses and that are always looking for more Keen Dev TV courses. In my case, I always also have a big audience and community where I can promote my stuff. So in the case of my own course, it was pretty much like, yeah, just 50-50. I mean, I would just go ahead and promote my course through my videos. So I'll be like 50% of traffic, and then gain that to be another percentage of traffic, right? And actually, I mean, the numbers of traffic that Game Dev TV brought was kind of crazy in terms of views to the course and everything, because they have a really powerful like audience and community that really love their courses. So it honestly surprised me. It surprised me. Getting TV are really like the fans are really loyal. But yeah, it was kind of like that, I would say.
But what about Udemy? Would you say that it's also like a
Yeah,
top platform?
yeah. I mean, Udemy is just like a a course platform for the people that don't know, and they're one of the biggest ones for not only like game dev but also more stuff in terms of tech, software, things like that. So the courses that we made with GameDevTV not have only been uploaded to Udemy, but it's only not only to GameDevTV but also Udemy, and Udemy has its own like algorithm, let's say their own recommendation system and so on. But honestly, it's good, but the big percentage of traffic was brought by me and GameDevTV. Udemy was just there to host the course as a second option than their own platform. And I mean, yeah, it's honestly Udemy is just positions the course more in the mainstream, right?
Hmm.
Because if it's only, for example, in the GameDev TV website, maybe it's a bit more niche to my audience in GameDev TVs. When it's in Udemy, it's like out there on just the whole game dev industry. But yeah, that doesn't there's not like that night a contrast in my case, but it's a cool play to just put the course out there, and it's just also more personal brand, I would say. Almost it's just reputation kind of their Udemy,
Hmm. So there's no basically like a strategy to if you, for example, have no personal brand, no YouTube channel, and you decide to make a course and you just throw it, for example, on Udemy, thinking that it would bring you traffic that you
Yeah,
can then use to
I
kick off
mean,
your personal brand.
I personally don't recommend that. That is very risky, but more than risky is just you're never gonna get results than what will you do with personal brands, Even though imagine the course in Udemy starts to do good, it will never get into a level that you can achieve with any sort of personal brand or audience, obviously, right? So for the people starting out, if like making tutorials or educational content on game dev, especially in Real Engine or whatever, ultimately, I always recommend to make a following, right? A personal brand, to build a community and an audience through long form content. The best one obviously is YouTube, but there's also the opportunity to make a quick course over at Udemy, and that's it. I mean, I know people that worked, but it's never really the case. And also, when people finish up your Udemy course, they're far less likely to go back into another course that you might do in the future, because it's not the same if you are in one of the discourse of the creator, if you are seeing each video of the creator, you have notifications on YouTube, all these kind of things. You don't know really the creator as much if you just pay for a course one time. Obviously, you will see again in Udemy that the creator did another course or whatever, but personal brand is just the ultimate um connection with fans, and it's just so cool. It's so cool.
Yeah. Okay, I understand. So to break into educational kind of being an educational content creator, you would recommend to first start a YouTube channel, do full long form content to kind of not just build an audience, but make them kind of loyal to you, make them
Hmm.
stick around, and only then kind of go into um, third party platforms where you basically give your audience to them. They don't really give as much back, or maybe with GameDev TV because you already have a following, they would like they wanted to work with you. But if you are someone who's just starting out, chances are they wouldn't really want to invest, their resources, their traffic into you.
Hmm.
So yeah, start with the long form content, teach something you already know, and build this initial audience before you switch into not switch, but like go into creating full length courses. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I personally recommend. And like you mentioned, yeah, if you go to someone like Game.tv where they already have a following and you partner with them to make a course, obviously there's already an audience available from their side. But what are the odds that you will get, to work with them or whatever if they don't really know who you are? They will. It's just way hard, right? If you don't have any reputation behind. And yeah, I mean, YouTube is the best way to build kind of that personal brand and also you just help people, because honestly, the content will be initially free, and people will trust you. You will build a loyal following, which is one of the most important things. And at the end, you will just be able to do anything that you want in the future, really. And the best approach that I recommend is to do the search-based videos, because you don't rely purely on the algorithm to recommend your videos. If people search them, they will pop up, right, relatively well, depending on just the video in general. So yeah, I mean, just go ahead and try YouTube out for the people that want to get into educational content. Honestly, pretty much in any niche nowadays. And it's just, yes, what I recommend.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for the advice. I think it'll be very helpful to those watching.
Yeah,
We're about to start wrapping up. I'll ask you some kind of last questions.
yeah,
So I'm curious to hear your opinion on whether you are, happy with the way things are going right now. Whether you feel like maybe something is slowing down, growth is not going as fast as you like it to. Because you mentioned that not all videos, for example, hit 10K. Um, what's your kind of
yeah. I
overall?
mean, overall, I'm very happy and have pretty much always been very happy since I started, building my personal brand, my channel, educating people and everything. Obviously, there are some moments where you're more hyped up because you're growing faster, or videos are doing better, or there are more opportunities. And sometimes it feels more, yeah, just a bit never going down, but just kind of more still, maybe a bit more slow, tired. But at the end, all the moments are necessary, because maybe when you are going a bit more slow, you are building on another project, which then pushes again the growth, or you're just kind of analyzing the new content strategy they're gonna take to again capture that growth. Or there's many things that you can do to never stop growing. In my case, pretty much I've been growing since I started. Obviously, there's a point where Unreal Engine 5 is no longer trending as it did 2 years ago when it came out, right? It was like crazy thing. Now it's like more, normal thing compared to Unity or whatever. So obviously, the whole Engine industry kind of slows down a bit, but that's okay, right? It may continues a bit later on with a certain thing or whatever. It doesn't really matter. It's always going to be steady if it's something like on region 5, right? But yeah, it's going to be moments where you advance faster, and a bit moments where you go a bit slower, but you're always going to be building. That's the important thing. And in my case, in every moment, I'm super happy and thankful about what I've been able to get, and see all that thanks to the hard work and dedication. But yeah, it's a thing to always have in mind, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. Um, man, I have a question. I don't want to get sidetracked and kind of keep you for too long here,
Yeah,
but
tell
I'm
me.
super curious. So obviously, even like a couple of years ago, like when was Mandalorian out and Lion King and all these
Ooh,
movies,
yeah.
TV series that were using Unreal.
Even yeah, I mean, was that like, I guess, the time of UE5 coming out, or even a bit before, right? When the hype was like
Mm,
building a bit after me. Yeah, honestly, around 3 years ago minimum, right? Maybe even
yeah.
more years ago. So yeah, that was the time, right?
Do you follow Roblox at all? So there's obviously in game development in general, like in AAA, for example, game development, the big topic right now is user-generated content, essentially. So players creating their own virtual worlds in Roblox, in Fortnite. Epic Games, I think, released like a separate content creator app, like software for creating content inside Fortnite. Do
Yeah,
you feel like that's something you would maybe try and explore on a separate channel, for example? Because to me, it feels like a topic that I hear more and more about, and it's something that you hear about in on game development conferences, um, all of the game news. Uh,
yeah. Yeah, I mean, all that like niche and genre about user-generated content has been growing like crazy, thanks to, like you said, mainly Roblox and UFN, right? Which is the Unreal editor for Fortnite, like he mentioned. And it's definitely a thing that I would like to explore a bit more. Somewhere near the future or something. I mean, I've done I think one or two UFN tutorials when it came out. But I've never really done Roblox Studio or anything similar, but it's a thing that I would like to get into, you know? I mean, it has its own advantages, its own disadvantages compared to Unreal, but it's always good to, be a bit diversified, right? And not only stay with one specific game engine at a time. Like I mentioned, even for me, when I started learning Unity, I could transfer the knowledge easily to UE5. So, if I were to hop on into Roblox Studio, for example, there's going to be a lot of concepts that I will get instantly because it's going to be very similar, right?
Yeah.
So that's an advantage if you learn one game engine. You're not going to be stuck, right? But yeah, like me personally, it would be cool to kind of jump in.
Gorka, bro, you disappeared.
Okay, I'm back, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yo, it's so funny. You said, let me jump or something, like jump on, and just jumped out the call.
That was crazy. That was not intentionally. It threw me off. It's crazy. Yeah,
It was
that
very
was really,
dramatic, let's be honest,
yeah, it
yeah.
was dramatic, right? Yeah. Hopefully, you can merge the recordings together.
Yeah.
But yeah, what I was saying about Roblox and so on. Yeah, I mean, personally, I would love to jump into one of those game engines and maybe make content for it in the near future. So definitely I'll be exploring that side of things. I'm also interested in Godot and so on. The thing with, like, for example, Roblox or UFN is that you're always going to be limited to making content for that game,
Yeah.
but it's cool. It's another way of creating games, I mean, it's easier because you already have all these pre-generated assets and code that you can use, and there's already a huge platform of gamers that will play your game, maybe, because it's out there on Roblox in the mainstream or whatever it is, right? But definitely with UE5, you usually have more control over everything. You can, like, there's no limits, and you can really make interesting projects and games and put them in the Xbox if you want. Um, but it's cool sometimes just to make a fun game with your friends for Roblox, and there's people making a lot of money from Roblox games and UFN, because they pay, right? So it's an interesting niche also to explore, and definitely interesting on that sort of kind of things.
I'm glad you found this topic interesting. I
Yeah.
had so much kind of opinion on this.
Yeah, I'm
Uh,
actually gonna probably see a bit more about Roblox Studio. Actually, it kind of motivated me this talk about it. I might check out some things because I've been hearing very good stuff about Roblox and the benefits also for the creators of this games. It has even AI assistant inside of it where you can, like, make a code, with a
mm,
button. So it's cool.
yeah, so that's something that's kind of trendy right now. That's boring. Let's talk about what's your vision, like long term, like 5 to 10 years. Where do you see yourself as a? Where do you see your personal brand? Where do you see your YouTube channel? Do you see yourself starting a game studio and a school, a private business club? What do you see?
Yeah. Good question. I mean, definitely, I see myself just expanding my personal brand, getting even more known in the game dev space, but also growing more in the kind of just game industry as a whole to gamers also, right? It's also a thing that I've been exploring lately in the last year, where, for example, I have been making just little meme games about streamers or whatever, and they went viral. For example, one of them, if you know Speed, he's one of the biggest streamers in the world, and he played one of my games, right? And it's just like, trying to make just cool projects that are just more of a different thing that I do with tutorials because the audience is just millions bigger, right? And there's more opportunities and that kind of things.
Hmm.
right now I don't want to leak it completely, but I'm also working on making like official games for a big streamer, for example. He has millions of views. He's one of the kings of Twitch of like forever. So I'm excited for things like that, and hopefully more opportunities like this will continue to come with the things. But yeah, just I want to grow more, and in terms of the education side, yeah, like the school thing that you mentioned will be a really cool thing. It will be cool to expand the Unreal Club where I can build it into a massive thing and getting more experts to be 24/7 there, and just kind of grow it out to cover multiple game engines and go crazy, right? With it and be there like in the whole process. Things like that will be crazy. So I'm excited to see where things will take.
Yeah, looking at seeing your productivity, I can like totally imagine all of these things happening and coming true.
Thank you, man. Let's hope so. Let's hope
Yeah.
so.
So one last question.
Yeah.
Imagine that you had to start your channel all over again
Oh
today.
God.
What would you do differently?
Differently.
Yeah, what kind of mistakes have you made maybe? What
Yeah.
has slowed you down?
Yeah. Well, definitely with time I've realized a lot of mistakes which I've done and things that I could have just done to make things a bit faster. One of my mistakes, I guess, was not creating a Discord server from the start, and most importantly, also, for example, an email list, right? To have all those passion game devs. I took pretty much like nearly a year to create a Discord. Therefore, I possibly lost a lot of possible members that could have joined. And the same with email list. I took a lot of time to implement just a better connection with my viewers, and I took some more time to build my business out of my YouTube channel and everything, right? So it wasn't until very later that I started to work on, making my personal brand actually, a living pretty much. And that's a thing that I would have done before. In terms of content, I would pretty much stay with the search-based content, uploading very regularly and just looking at trending stuff and so on. I think that's the thing that I managed to execute efficiently. But yeah, just for example, uh, yeah, just being able to create products a bit faster and so on. But at the end of the day, I just focus on creating a loyal fan base at the beginning, which is, if you look at that way, it's also very very efficient. Maybe I lost some time because I took some time to do some stuff, but at the end it's effective anyways. But yeah, I don't make many mistakes. I don't know. I'm kidding.
That was a very good answer.
I don't know. There's probably more stuff, but yeah, that's kind of general stuff.
Perfect, perfect. And if people want to find out more about you, see more of your stuff, where can they find you? What
Yeah,
social media are you on?
obviously the main one will always be YouTube. So use Gorka Games, right? And there they will be able to check all of my content, such as tutorials and fun videos that I do every now and then, and just learn about Unreal Engine and game dev in general. And if they want to be like more connected to the game dev space and with me, my Discord server, we have over 12,000 members, which is kind of crazy. It's actually one of the biggest Unreal Engine Discords out there, the biggest of like a personal individual like me, of YouTuber or whatever. So it's kind of crazy. There's a lot of passionate game devs out there. They can like make connections and things. And if you wanna just know me more like on a personal side of things, I guess Twitter. I just put more like fun content over there. If I'm looking for something, I'll just put it there. It's just fun. It's just fun. So yeah, I guess those are the main things where you can
Perfect,
find me on.
perfect. I'll put some links in the description. I want to thank you for agreeing, for coming here,
Man,
for sharing all your
it was a
knowledge.
pleasure. Thanks for having me on. It was a great conversation. I think there's a lot of value that people can get from it. It's gonna be cool.
Yeah, definitely. It was really good to see you, man.
Yeah.
Have a good.
Looking forward for the future guests, and your podcast is gonna go crazy, man. Looking forward for it.
Thank you. That's it for today. If you found this episode helpful, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and check out the links in the description. You can grab my free guide to 100 ways to monetize your content, or apply for a free audit and have me personally analyze your social media and find ways that you can grow as a content creator. Thank you very much. I'll see you in the next video.